Good afternoon, St. Joseph School families. Well, today in our video, I'm going to talk about something I almost never talk about, either on these videos or in life, and that's politics. In fact, politics kind of scares me to talk about because, this is where, my Minnesota nice, friendly, can't we just all get along, comes out because there's not a whole lot of Minnesota nice, friendly, can't we all get along in the world of politics. Not sure if you've noticed that or not. But recently, there's a couple of things that have brought me into it, and last week I was able to go to the Minnesota House Education Finance Committee meeting in the Capitol to testify as a principal on House File 984, which would expand counseling services to non-public schools like us. And at the same time, earlier this week, I was able to have a quick sit-down meeting with our local representative in the House, Representative Perez Vega, to talk just a little bit about the impact of per-pupil funding for us as private schools, as well to talk about the House File 984 from last week and why it's so important to us. So what's going on? Why all this talk about politics? Well, currently, there are two proposals in the state of Minnesota that would have a substantial impact on us as a Catholic school, but every Catholic school and every private school in the state of Minnesota. First, there is the governor's budget proposal that is on the table. This past January, the governor proposed a budget that would eliminate non-public per-pupil aid to private schools and Catholic schools like us. What is that aid? Well, the state of Minnesota for years and years and years has provided students aid in the form of testing, textbooks, counseling, nursing, and busing. That's money that comes through the state, through our school district. In fact, the school district pays for everything based on the number of students that we have in our schools. So we don't receive this money, but we essentially receive the ability to pay for these services because our children are citizens of the state of Minnesota. And there's a long tradition of doing that here in Minnesota. The governor's most recent budget proposal from January would be to cut all of that aid. Well, what would that do for a school like us? First of all, that aid is about $100,000 every single year for us as a Catholic school. And it's not just us that would deal with it, it's every Catholic school and every private school. It would leave us all, as we're trying to balance our budgets, left with a really hard decision. Do we cut these services or some of these services, or do we raise our costs? And we know it's really, really hard to do either of these because we love these services and they do great things for us, and we don't want to raise our costs more than we have. And so it is a very, very tricky thing, and it's why it's very important that this proposal not pass. Now, at the same time, there's this House File 984 that's active right now in the Minnesota House of Representatives that would expand counseling funding. How does that work? Well, currently, we receive funding for counseling in this per-pupil aid for every 7th and 8th grader in our school. This would change the rule in that the funding would be based on every kindergarten through 8th grader in our school. Well, that seems to make a lot of sense for us. Why? Because counseling is not just for 7th and 8th graders. And I've seen our school counselor, Jillian, and other counselors in other schools I've worked with do great work for students that are younger than 7th and 8th grade and serve students across the school. We need that. So this funding would really, really help us and every Catholic and every non-public school expand the services that we can offer for counseling to meet the needs of our kids, particularly coming out of COVID. So these two bills are really, really important. Well, one proposal and one bill. And so we need to make sure that our voices are heard. So important that's even brought me into the world of politics. So what I'm asking is, there's a one-pager in the paragraph below this video in the parent letter. Please be acquainted with that, but also I highly urge you, contact your representatives. Make sure that they're on board to support us because this is a major difference maker for us as a Catholic school. And again, by us being a Catholic school, we save taxpayers across the state lots and lots of money every year by educating students here and not within public schools. So, thank you for your support on this. We'll see you next week.